Uh-oh. Kay, you're muted. Kay, you're muted.
I am. Hold on.
There
Did
you
you
go.
unmute me? You know what it
Yep.
was? It was because I kept clearing my throat beforehand. So I was like, must not interrupt the jams. Hi, guys. Happy Friday. Welcome back to another episode of Biscuits with Bosses. Clearly, it's been a couple of days because I forgot to unmute myself. This is the live podcast where we get to know leaders in the film and television industry over a spot of tea and maybe a couple of biscuits. I'm your host, as always, rocking my indie filmmaker t-shirt. Kay Ross, writer, filmmaker, founder of Owl Echo Entertainment. And if I might shout out to Lane, our producer, who prepped today's return to our regularly scheduled live. With me today, as always, my co-host, my Ed McMahon, my Gen Zer, keeping me cool, Mr. Matt York. So great to have you back, Matt.
Love to be here. Happy to be here. And thank you, everyone in the chat, for joining us, being in, dropping in. Let us know in the chat what you're drinking today, where you are, what's going on there. We have our own drinks. I'm finishing up my second coffee of the day. What does everyone else have?
I'm personally doing, well, I'll tell you here in a minute because I want to make sure that everyone knows Biscuits with Bosses is streaming live from Restream.io. So if you've never heard of Restream, you can create professional videos, chat with viewers in real time, and live stream from over 30 social platforms all at once. 30. We're only streaming to like 3 right now. So clearly we're just like baby Restream. But with your support and your attendance, we are hoping to grow. So be sure to like and subscribe because this is a live podcast and we'd love for you to interact as well. Now, today's episode is brought to you by Off Duty Thanks Apparel and Production Value Software. And of course, we're going to give you more details about that later. We really just want to jump right in. One final shout out before I forget. So the song you guys were just rocking out to was by The Midnight. The name of the song is called America Online. Be sure to check out The Midnight wherever you get your music. It really is an LA vibe. So if you weren't like rocking out to it before, like get the whole song, have your little moment. All right. And I will answer your question because I put together a special brew for today. I just want to make sure that everybody knows today's filmmaker has been like nervous to hear his own bio, but I'm like, I'm ready. I want you to hear it, Robert. With us today, Robert Flowers is a Mexican-American filmmaker, best known for genre-bending films within the sci-fi, thriller, horror space, and whose stories are rooted in characters straddling 2 different worlds, struggling to find their place. Robert is also a USA Today best-selling author of Snow Hill and has been a Blacklist recommended writer. As a director, he has won at the Big Apple Film Festival and the LA Sci-Fi Film Festival. And he recently won Best Thriller Suspense at the Chandler International Film Festival. And his work will soon be featured on the Sci-Fi channel Dust on YouTube later this year. Now, besides his narrative work, which, as if that was impressive enough, Robert has shot hundreds of heart surgeries all over the US and was part of the team that won an Emmy for the documentary The Latest Procedure. And apparently he's never fainted at the sight of blood except his own. Robert, welcome, but oh my God.
Thanks for having me, Kay. Yes, I learned that I do faint at the sight of my own blood the hard way. I was doing one of those little home kit things, and I poked my finger, and I keeled over right then and there. My wife had to come by, and yeah, that's how I learned. So,
Wow.
yeah.
um,
Yes.
I love that that's like your fun fact in your bio because considering that you're in the horror space, you'd imagine that you've seen a fair amount of blood. And even outside of that, the heart surgeries, like you've seen
Lots
so
of blood.
much blood.
Lots of blood. I've seen open body cavities, the hip replacement, when you had to crack you open, heart being held right above the body, very close. Like I'm talking like this close, I got a camera there. No issue whatsoever. The minute I poke a little dot in my finger, everything, like sweats, nausea, keel over. So
You know what?
embarrassing.
I feel you though, because the moment I knew what my blood type was, and the moment the, Red Cross knew what my blood type was, I swear to God, they started like calling me monthly, like a jilted lover, going, "Are you gonna come back and donate more blood?" Because I'm a universal donor. Problem is that the first time I donated, I thought I was doing fine. I was like, "Oh, this is easy. Who gets woozy at blood loss?" And I looked over. It was like the rookie mistake, right? But I looked over at the bag, and
Yep.
suddenly the idea that part of me was now in this bag, I had this immediate like out of body experience, and it just sent my world spinning. So I
Yep.
get it, and I have learned, just don't look. Don't look, Ethel. Don't look.
Well, look, I told my phlebotomist, I'm like, I faint, tell me when, and they're like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a big guy, so like, if I fall over, they're coming with me." And yeah, it's not a fun time. So,
Matt, I'm gonna finally take you up on your request. What are you drinking today, sir? Because I've brought out my Wonder Woman cup. It's an epic brew.
Wow, that looks pretty cool.
Oh, I'll get into the description quickly. But wait, did I just find out earlier in our pregame that you are not a tea person? I feel like I knew that, but I didn't know that. So you're coffeeing it today, right?
Yeah, I mean, I do drink tea. It's not that I'm like anti-tea. I just if I'm looking for caffeine, I go to coffee because that is just what I need, what I feel like works best. But I mean, like tea is good for me. It's just usually I drink tea at night. That's usually a calming nighttime activity. But caffeinated teas are good. They're just not strong enough. It's my American
yeah,
brain.
I drink coffee at night too, so it's coffee all the time.
Nice. Yeah, what are you drinking today, sir?
I'm drinking just another pot of coffee. I've been at this for a bit this morning. This is a post house. I'll throw them a little shout out. They did a post on the Garrison. They did post on a short I did about 6 years ago, and they gave me this mug after color timing the movie. So still have it. Yeah, I'm a sucker for
Awesome.
mugs. So yeah.
Same.
I am too. Although when you mentioned that you like make mugs with like photos on them, I was like, you win, sir. I have not gone that far.
Got photos of my dog, my wife, and us. Like it's a little time capsule. And so
Aww.
Yeah. That's cute.
It's sentimental and silly, but
I mean, who better to be sentimental and silly with than your partner? Come on.
yes, exactly.
I feel like I tend to go geek. Like my mugs better say something, or So this is my Wonder Woman one.
Nice.
It's almost always like a 2-bagger. So I did my loose leaf tea today.
Oh, we're fancy.
I am. I'm a bougie bitch. Not always, but on those rare occasions where people are like, "We'll just get like coffee from 7-Eleven." I'm like, or I'll bring my own press. Move out.
Okay.
Honestly, it comes from a lifetime of having food restrictions. And so the moment I could choose, the bread I was eating or whether or not I was having dairy or, you know what I mean? Like, I had to have those restrictions. So I just started exercising that choice across the board, whether or not I needed to. Yeah. So shout out to Geeky Teas. This is not an official anything, by the way, because Geeky Teas does this wonderful loose leaf tea. And even though it's a variety of chai, it's called Mutter's Milk.
Mutter's Milk.
Yeah.
Okay.
I assume you've never seen Firefly then.
I have not. I've not watched a bunch of Firefly. No. So.
That's okay. I
add that to my list.
Right, add it to the list. No one's gonna redact your sci-fi card for not watching Firefly.
Oh, I'm sure some people will, but it's okay.
Not all sci-fis are the same, so no shade. And for everybody who's attending right now, hey, let us know what you're drinking as well. Like, for all intents and purposes, this podcast, we're going to dive deep a little later, but we always like to have some like getting to know you time as well. And it's important that you guys know that this isn't like somehow conflating or misconstruing what we do in the industry when we're getting to know people. Like, we legitimately sit around and shoot the shit because at some point we don't have time to do that anymore. So when we have the time, Like, take the time to actually like be people for a minute before you have to dive back into work. So just putting it out there that like, this is us being us. Okay, so I do want to do my first rapid fire getting to know you question though. Are you ready?
Okay, hit me. Yes.
All right, in true Ted Lasso style, first concert, best concert.
Oh no, these are embarrassing.
That's great. We'll share too.
First concert. Oh God, I'm gonna admit this. Okay, first concert. I'm gonna hear about this forever. First concert, Paula Abdul.
That is
Beautiful.
so cool.
No, it's not. But I appreciate best concert. Oh, Warped Tour '97.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You and I must be in the same generation because I remember the Warp Tour.
Yeah. And I'm from Phoenix, so Warped Tour '97 was in the summer. So it was 110, 115. They were gouging the price of water bottles. They were such dicks. And I, again, like, I think Bad Religion was playing, and I got up there, and Infected came on, and the mosh pit was off the charts. It was awesome.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
I'm too old for that shit now, but at the time, it was rad. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Cheers to you that you.
I'm looking at the lineup of like each of the stages. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
It was awesome.
Matt, remind us who was the lineup on the Warp Tour.
I mean, it depends on where you're, like, what stage or like when or you were playing. But I mean, there's on this for the '97, there was Blink 182, Pennywise, Real Big Fish, Offspring, Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, Limp Bizkit, Less Than Jake, The Descendants. What else do we have? MXPX.
The Warped Tours. The Warped Tours were so great then.
Not Jimmy Eat World. There's a bunch of them here.
Yeah, well, there's a string of years I went like every year, and it was again always in the summer for whatever reason. Yeah, those are fun times.
Admittedly, that was probably of the categories. That was actually probably one of my worst concerts because it was so big. I'd never really been to a concert that big before. I was a teenager going with other teenagers, and of course, they walked me into the field area, right, where the mosh is certainly going to happen.
Yeah.
Where, people are getting high and I'm not used to that smell. So the first time I was that close to someone smoking, I got the worst headache. And of course it's hot and I'm sweaty and I'm dehydrated and I've got the smell going on at the same time. And it was rough. But the music and the energy was next level.
Yeah, I tend to like smaller shows. Like I went to school in the Netherlands, and I saw this Dutch punk band cover the Rocket to Russia album by the Ramones, and that was super fun. And the Dutch people are very tall, so I was very short there. And but it was a really awesome show. Yeah, like I saw a band called Good Riddance in Flagstaff where I went to university here, and there was just 7 of us, and it was still one of the better shows I'd ever been to. But yeah, those are. I tend just to prefer those because you can actually talk to the band after, and I think that's super cool. So
yes,
yeah.
Wait, you just glossed right over that. Back me up. What, you went to school in the Netherlands, like for high school?
I did. It's how I got to be in this business. Is I, on a recommendation from a friend who had went there the year before, she's like, you should go. It's really fun. This is like, in the before times. And so I was like, yeah, cool. I'll do it. And I went there January 2000. And I was there for 7 months, spring semester. And one of the international communication assignments were to make a commercial for a local radio station. So they gave us gear, equipment, and everything, and we got to make something. And I was like, this is fucking cool. And so, can you do this? Like, again, at that time, like making movies and how movies are made was a little more opaque than it is now. And so I changed my major when I came back home, actually double majored because I was so close, and I have 2 BSs, so I'm really full of shit. And I decided to go to film school, which we can get into about the merits of that. but at the time, yeah, that's what drove me to it. I'm like, I want to do this again, and came to school out here, and that was that was the beginning. So the Dutch, I blame the Dutch for
I
my
blame the Dutch.
for my perilous journey that I'm still on now. So it's all their fault.
Because I want to have a proper geek out, because there are little things that just dropped out that I want to pull on. But before we do that, just in the spirit of reciprocity, Matt, do you want to share your first concert, best concert, and I will do
Yes. Yes, let's hear it.
Yeah, sure. My first real concert, I saw Weird Al Yankovic.
Nice.
It was pretty fun. That was great. He did like a full 2-hour concert, like by himself, no opener or anything. And then my favorite concert was probably last year. I saw Green Day with the Smashing Pumpkins and Rancid.
What?
And they had another opener, Linda's, I believe. And that was great. That was great for all the reasons I wanted it to be great, was because Rancid got rained out, Smashing Pumpkins had a reduced set, and then Green Day played their full set. So it was cool.
That's right.
Yeah, that was probably the best one, because they were playing all of the album Dookie and then all of the album American Idiot in full back to back. So they were doing like a 2-hour show just by themselves, and then they had the two like openers before, and that was great. That's probably the best show.
Oh, that's rad. I remember hearing Dookie on the radio when Basket Case came out. I was in high school, and then Kerplunk was the album before that. Oh man, it's amazing that they've gone so far. Yeah, that's an awesome show. It's a great lineup.
So, and I love the back and
great.
forth that's happening, just to be meta for a moment, but like, y'all, this is why we have icebreaking questions, is because you just never know what the overlap is between your personal and lived experience and someone else's. And like, that's the shit that the ties that bind, So I also feel like I'm going to miss the mark wide. So I'm just going to 30-second rip off the Band-Aid. My first concert was the Beach Boys, because my mother wanted to break me in before anybody else got a lick in. So I was 12 years old, went to Busch Gardens, saw the Beach Boys with my mom. Lame. And in the spirit of the 90s vibe I think that we've got going, I always forget to even mention this concert because it was at the 930 Club in DC, which is a smaller venue. I saw Eve 6 when they opened up for the Cranberries. And I forget about it all the time because it's so deeply personal to me that I'm like, it's not cool. It was like a fucking awakening. Like, I just needed to be at that concert. And the thing that rocked me about the Cranberries, because there's the radio version and then there's like the concert version, and it's like they bleed their music. The high notes are done by a male backup singer. Like, she can do them too, I'm sure, but to like save her voice, she's got somebody else who can do it, and it's not even another female. I was like, my mind is blown.
Wow.
so a stunt voice? Like, all right, you do it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Anyway, like I said, in the spirit of the 90s, I feel like I wanted to mention that one. All right. Do you mind if we go into the... Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, you said you went with your mom to Beach Boys. I went to Paul Abdul with my grandmother and both of my parents, because I had asked a girl out in the 7th grade to go to this concert, and her parents said no. And so they had the tickets, and so I went with my parents and my grandmother, and I remember their reactions was priceless, because this is a long time ago. So, and my grandmother was very old. And so I'm thinking, wow, this is like the amount of years, and like, their reaction was priceless. It was pretty funny.
I bet, especially if they did any dance choreography to like Cold Hearted Snake.
Yeah,
which is very suggestive.
Suggestive, yes. I think that might have been the word my mother used probably at the time. Yes. So I went to Catholic school, so like there's like, oh no. So. Yeah.
I think Paula Abdul was my first cassette, which is why I was like, oh my God. Because she does hold a place in my like music lineage. My first CD was the soundtrack to Sister Act because I'm a dork. Um, but yeah, I was definitely a big Paula Abdul fan. And part of it's because also little girls learn dance. And so the moment you move away from ballet and into jazz or into, you know, something more expressive, Paula Abdul is a big part of that as well. So yeah. So it was good for me. I'm sorry it was a bad date for you.
Oh yeah, it was bad. It was bad. It was one of those things that gets you know, it will get immortalized in a later story about being 12 or whatever, however old I was. I blocked that out. Thank you for bringing up such a warm memory.
I'm sorry, Matt, did you sounded like you wanted to say something.
I was just going to say Mandy in chat said that their first concert was Bryan Adams, but their best one was the Bare Naked Ladies.
Yes.
That sounds like a good concert.
Does sound like a good concert.
That's a good one, Mandy. That's a really good one, Mandy.
Cheers to that. Okay. So I have a couple more getting to know you questions.
Yes.
And this one was suggested by Robert himself. Thanks so much for this. What show shows your true colors? Like Green with Envy. If you could be on that show, what would it be? And why?
So to write on the show, to be a staff writer on the show, Dark Matter, which is a Jennifer Connelly, Joel Edgerton Apple TV show. They have one season, big heavy sci-fi, parallel worlds. The pilot's really, really hooky. It's really good. I was watching, I'm like, oh, you sons of bitches. I was cursing them. I'm like, no. And I was just a huge fan of it. And it escalated. It was one of those shows that escalated, and I highly recommend watching if you haven't. You know, it's got this nice build where it's like, oh God, now what are they going to do? I have no idea how they're going to do a season 2, but I look forward to seeing how they try to do a season 2. So, but yeah, that was a big one. That's one I would say for sure right now.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I feel like this is another one of those where it's like, I'll watch it for you, sir. Because I remember looking at it going, once upon a time, I would have dove head into it. But right now I'm very into like the coming of age space. And when I first moved to LA, I was writing a pilot about the first job I ever worked at as a teenager. And so when Sex Education on Netflix came out, I was like, oh, someone wrote my show. I mean, not really, because Sex Education is very much about sex, and mine is more about like romance, falling in love, flirting education. But it's so well done. It's so well done. And I'm going to manifest it right now. I just really want to meet the creator because it is coming all from her. Like the all of the episodes, yeah, maybe they have other writers that come in, but like it's coming from her. And just
I met
be
one
like
of the directors of that show. I was shadowing a showrunner earlier this year. I'm one of the TV directors. I think did Sex Education, worked on a few of them. Yeah.
I mean, you know where to find me. Make that manifestation real, sir. I'll work my network for Dark Matter, sir, and you work yours for Sex Education.
Let's see what we can do here.
Look, and I feel like that's why we ask the easy ask, because I'm never going to ask someone for a job. What I am going to ask for is like, hey, if you want a platform to talk about what you're doing, I'm here for you. If you like having me in a room, we'll talk about other rooms I can be in. But I'm just not going to make that presumption that one, you have a job available, and two, that I'm anywhere remotely in your sphere. So we can start with a podcast.
Yes, yes, we can.
I want to.
A great unifying force, a podcast.
Right?
Yes, it's all the rage. I'm trying to do one too. So I'm learning. This is great.
Dude, I want you to tell me more about the podcast, but I have one more getting to know you question.
Yes, go ahead.
And part of it's because when we do the victory round next, I feel like your podcast may come into play, but I don't know. We'll see.
Oh God, it's not that big of a thing. Trust me. We don't even have a name yet, so it's like, what the hell are we doing? I don't know. We're just right now we're untitled, so that's what we are. But that's going to change.
I bet we could make a title for you today. I bet we could cook one up.
I told my co-host that we would talk about it, so she's probably on here going, okay, I'm listening.
All right, we're on that. Can we just pull on that thread for a moment?
Yes.
Soft pitch, 2 minutes about your podcast. Go. What is the podcast about?
We don't know yet.
Well, what have you talked about so
right
far?
now we're like Seinfeld. No, she's a producer. Obviously, I make movies, shorts, and we're trying to get a feature off, and she's trying to get a feature off, and we're both building our YouTube pages too, trying to build audiences and get stuff seen, like all of us are. And so her perspective is from an indie producer, and mine's from like an indie writer and director. And so we're just kind of sharing stories like, oh, I'm dealing with SAG on this, and this is really tough, and we're trying to get a distribution deal for this, or she's doing like a Star Wars fan film, and I'm doing verticals too, and it's like, all right, how do we do genre stuff in this space? And like, we're going to work together on the thing, because we met over coffee, kind of like, and so your analogy is pretty good. And we're like, all right, we should make the thing, because like you can do this and I can do this, and so that's going to happen eventually, and it'll be super fun, and we'll be podcasting about the thing we make and the things that each of us are making on our own too. So that's kind of it. Yeah.
I feel like the two things that I would want to know that would help to determine the title are, what are you working towards? Like, not just a specific project, but like as a director and a producer, are you working towards like an actual partnership in this like new landscape? And if that's true, one of the things that occurred to me as you were talking is there's actually a huge kerfuffle, if you will, between directors and producers right now, because when we go to film festivals, directors get all the accolades like they do everything, and it's just not true, because producers, and the reason this came up is because when you go to a film festival, the filmmaker, right, the director gets the comp ticket, and then they get a +1, and it may or may not be the producer who has done probably just as much work, if not more, on the project.
100%. Yes.
Right. So part of the contention right now is like, okay, Oscars are recognizing that producers should be getting like the best picture Oscar, but on the way to that MFing Oscar, like, what do I need to get my free comp ticket for just the festival? You know what I mean?
I think some of the ones have two, and like the better ones have two, and then you can like put, at least from my experience recently in the last year, that has been the case. But I totally get what you're saying about, you get some of them, they only give you one, and the other one has to pay for it. It's like, fuck you.
Right.
I don't know if we can cuss on this or whatever, but I'm gonna, because I'm like, you know how it is. You bust your ass, you make the movie, you raise money, or you put the team together, you're in post, you see it all the way to the end, and now I gotta fucking pay you for this?
Exactly.
For being the producer on this?
So you could lean into that and do a title like filmmaker +1, right? Or sharing Oscar, right? Like you can lean into that mentality of, I'm just the producer, ha ha ha. Like, and again,
I like it. I'm down. I'll pitch it to her. Allison, if you're listening, like, well, we'll talk about it.
Right.
Because we need a title right now. We have no title, so yeah. So yeah, why not?
I personally want to proper geek out, because I am a sci-fi nerd and was raised on sci-fi stuff. So the overlap of sci-fi thriller with kind of where your wheelhouse is, which is sci-fi thriller and horror, which, I'll dip a toe into horror. that's not my happy place. But I'm curious, like, top 3 sci-fis. Clearly Dark Matter may be one of them, but what else would you put into that favorite category?
That's interesting. Alien, which I was just talking about, but also that's considered a horror by a lot of people too, and I think there's some crossover, and like it's a cool subgenre. One of my favorite shows, Battlestar Galactica, Fracking Toasters. Actually met some people who are on that show. That's a favorite. Oh God, I mean, Star Wars is considered more space opera than science fiction. Close Encounters, really good. Minority Report, underrated, low key. Like,
yeah.
I mean, Spielberg, enough said. But he does this, the whodunit in that sci-fi Philip K. Dick space is great. I mean, anything he does. Man in the High Castle. I mean, it's a show. Really good. I'm trying to think of others that are Tron. I mean, I'm a huge Tron Legacy fan. I don't care what anyone says.
Oh yeah.
And like, even the Daft Punk soundtrack.
Oh, of course. Like, it was
rock
a
out to that.
glorified music video, but also, look, I think
Yeah.
you know this better than most, but like the game of filmmakers isn't win all the battles, it's win the battle, right? So you got to
Yeah.
pick your battle. And in,
Yeah.
Tron Legacy, part of what the battle they were trying to win was simply having an updated script. And if you watch the original Tron, that shit is lucid. Like, you do not follow, save the cat or the hero's, like, it goes off rails. So it just needed to be enough to hold Disney like attention. And then music and visuals and compelling set pieces, like, she was a blockbuster. She didn't need to be anything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Tron Legacy did what it needed to do, and it did it well. If you expected anything more, that's kind of on you.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I don't care. So
Yeah.
you like what you like.
Indeed. I feel
Yeah.
like
I like
Matt,
Tron
want to hear
Legacy.
yours.
Go on.
Yes.
No, I wanted to hear yours because I know that you're a horror fan,
Oh.
but I feel like I've never dove into your sci-fi side. So, what about your
Yeah.
sci-fi favorite?
Absolutely. I was gonna say I remember Tron Legacy because it came out when I was kind of young, but the main reason I liked it was because Daft Punk did the entire soundtrack, and I that's why I was really into it, because the soundtrack was just killer the whole time.
It is.
For my Mount Rushmore of sci-fi movies, let's see. I think Inception was like the first one where I was like, this was great. Like I'm that's what, like, I loved Batman Begins and stuff from Christopher Nolan, but when I saw Inception and everyone was like, "Oh, it's so confusing, I don't get it," and then I saw it, I was like, this makes sense. This is such a great, like, movie. I loved how it was set up and built and everything. I do like Alien, the first Alien movie. I think that's just a great classic, and kind of horror as well. But then my third is actually a more recent one. It's called Mickey 17 with Robert Pattinson.
How was that?
That was a really funny but really good movie. That I thought it was just a fun, unique take on, like, what outer space life can be like, but like in a realistic sense, like not just Star Trek or Star Wars or whatever, where people are like in outer space but doing like clearly like sci-fi things. Mickey 17 felt very grounded, and it's like all the problems that are on Earth are just going to happen in a spaceship. And I thought it was just really good.
I mean, along those lines, have you ever seen The Expanse, the show? Oh,
no,
dude,
I'm not.
It's killer. It's so good. Once you get past season 1 and you get into the Mars, Moon, the Belters, and the characters, there's some amazing characters in that show. It is fantastic. I think it's on Amazon. You should watch it. It's really good. It's really
cool.
good.
Yeah, I'll definitely check it out then.
Ooh. Now I feel like I'm about to blow everything up because I'm yes to all. Let me just say yes to all. I always mention Serenity as part of my sci-fi lineup because it's really the reason I went to film school. So I can't not mention it. And part of that was just timing, but part of it was also, it showed me that if you believe in something enough and the people with you believe it enough, you can make a thing happen. So the story behind the story was just as impactful as the actual film. Because that was a fan rallied film. Like, it was not a fan made film, but they made that shit happen. If I'm honest, I reference Stargate, the original film, all the fucking time. Again,
it's really good.
It's
good
so
one.
and at my first sci-fi convention, they were actually like selling screenplays as well. And so the first screenplay I ever read was Stargate. So again, just kind of sentimental sci-fi value. Yes, when it comes to television shows, I was raised on Star Trek: The Next Generation because Picard every day, all day. And I have to double down on that because yes, Star Wars, but for me, Star Wars, yes, it's sci-fi, but it's almost more fantasy because of the elements that are included. The power of Star Trek is that it allowed us to explore kernels of truth to a finer degree that allowed us to then put it into reality, right? We don't have a real lightsaber. We absolutely have a real communicator. They're called cell phones. We, may not have force pull or push, but we absolutely have touch screens now. Like, y'all, you can't even look at that series and be like, oh, it's nothing. No, first on-screen racial kiss, right? Like, come on. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop geeking out now because it's an easy thread to pull on. But I also think that as filmmakers, it's so easy to be like, oh, you're not in my genre. And the truth is, like, maybe I don't write in that genre, but if you look at my IMDb, in fact, several projects that aren't even on my IMDb, I have written and produced more thriller and horror than I have of any other genre. And
yes.
it's not,
I'm going to call you after we're done here for the next thing.
Happy to play along. And actually, shout out to Midian Crosby, who was one of our first guests here on Biscuits with Bosses, one of my favorite people in the world. She and I met in film school in Colorado. And she is a special effects makeup artist. And the whole reason we met was because the director I was working with at the time, that sounded terrible. The director I was working with at the time, even though we were in film school, he was like, I need to know that the costumes are going to be on point. I'm bringing in, excellent props from an outside source. Who are we going to get to do this makeup? Because, zombies in high school, what are we going to do? And I was like, let me look who's local. She came on as a professional and worked at Bargain Basement Rates. And so the biggest hurdle I had to convince her to come back and continue working with us was, how do I make her feel like a rock star? And that's how our friendship started was, I kept the lines of communication open. What food can I have for you on set? I see you bringing in crew. What can I do to make them happy? So they they expanded their reach and actually did like distressing for the costumes as well. Yeah, she was, Midian's just the best. And now she's in Atlanta kicking butt. And I believe the last thing she did was Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and their holiday special. Little things people have never heard of. Anyway, I say that all to say,
heard of it. Yeah.
Even if you feel like, oh, that's not my genre, like sometimes when you're just a fan of things, you can be there for other people and help them see their dreams come true. Because I've definitely produced things with Midian as well, with her directing and whatnot. And I think what it gives you is that ability to stretch yourself so that when you finally come back to that thing that you love, like you can still pull from those same sources. Filmmaking is filmmaking. So anyway.
Oh, 100%. I co-sign.
I co-sign. I like that way better than aligned. It's just been the buzzword of late. So, hey, I kind of want to celebrate you for a minute, and we're going to move on into our little segment called the Victory Round. And I feel like part of the victory we're going to explore is this film coming up. Do you mind if we show people the trailer for Honor's Half-Life?
I guess which trailer is it? Is it the Dust trailer or is it the one that we made?
It says Final. Does Final work?
Is it Final? Because you know how that goes. It's like, oh no, not that one. There should be an email in everyone's outbox that says, no, not that one. Because we send it, whether it's a script or cut or anything. No, this one. So
just to, pull back the curtain for a moment. So it was the one in the Google folder.
Yeah, okay, it's that one.
Matt, can you confirm that it said Final? I don't remember.
Yeah, no, you can play that one.
It said Final smaller.
Yeah, we can play that one. That'll be fun.
Sweet. All right, guys, hang on to your hats because I really want you to see the epicness that is the latest from Robert Flowers.
You're too kind.
A gun isn't a prop, Grace.
I wasn't going to use it.
But you have to be ready to kill someone.
I could do it. If I had to.
Long time, Roy.
Take it you've already been up to the house.
You're gonna need more than that pistol.
Did you bring somebody with you? Who's gonna die out here with you today?
Well, that'll be you, Roy.
That's fun.
It is fun.
I mean, she's not having fun at the end of the movie, but
Yeah.
It's just fun to see that, considering like we made that in October of 2020, and to see it now.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a really fun story of how, if we have the time to talk about how it came about, but
Yeah, man. I mean, the next segment is the victory round. So tell us about this
so
victory. It's come
so
around.
during the pandemic, like most people, there's a reevaluation of priorities and life in general, career, everything. And obviously, in the business we're in, it's really hard to get anything made. And there are two paths that people usually find themselves on. You're either making the thing or you're trying to get it made.
Yeah.
Those are it. And so, and you can get stuck in the trying to get made mode for a very long time because you're waiting for permission. And this is stuff that other people have echoed, so this isn't new. But during the pandemic, using social media, I am not a social media person. I wasn't then. I made the uh, erroneous decision, and not even consciously, to like, I'm going to just focus on writing and silo myself and write scripts and like try and do things and blah 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 blah. Where I should have done is what I'm doing now, and like even talking to you, is that you go out, you meet people who are doing the thing you want to do, and learn from them and get to know each other, and you work together, and it's super fun. It's like forming a band. So during the pandemic, there's a social media app called Clubhouse, and I
Mhm.
don't care about saying it, but there was a time when there was pretty exclusive. You had to be invited or whatever, and because no one could do anything, like production had shut down, everything was just terrible. Obviously, lots of people congregated on this app, and it was like phone chat line from like the 90s, like you just talking. And during that time in 2021, um 8 hours a day on that, you're just meeting people from all over the world.
Wow.
And there was a big group of people who were industry people and like namey people, like Joe Carnahan was on there. He directed The Gray, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. He was
Mm.
on there, and I got to talk to him like you and I are talking. And so all the stuff, and like, WG writers and people who did shows and stuff like that, we were just bullshitting the whole time because there's nothing else you could do. So I met a couple filmmakers. I'm going to name them because I know they're watching. I said I would. Gavin Michael Booth, who's known for like Scarehouse, and he had a really cool show called Dream Crusher come out. And Mercy's May. He was my co-writer on this. He's from Minnesota, and Gavin's from Canada. And we were talking like just like what we're doing now about movies and what we like and what we do, and we're all filmmakers. And so like, let's make a thing. And people talk about making things all the time, and I'm like, okay, let's make a thing. And so I had not met either of these people, mind you. They're strangers. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna. Gavin's like, you can come up to Canada and shoot in Windsor. And people who know him know this to be true. Like, he's very giving and like all about making stuff anyway. And Mercy's like, cool, let's work on this idea. And so I fucking flew up to Canada on a whim to make a movie with a bunch of strangers. And that's how I don't say desperate, but that's how like I just needed to do what I wanted to do, what I set out to do. And it was only in hindsight that I realized how insane that sounds. So like, if I had a little mild panic attack, I'm like, oh, this Gavin guy could just murder me and bury me in the Detroit River. And if you knew him, you know that how unlikely that would be. But I mean, it was October in Canada. The weather can be a little erratic, but obviously, as you saw in the trailer, a lot of stuff takes place outside. Mercedes and I had written the script, based on an idea I came up with watching this weird, messed up documentary on veterans. And my dad's a veteran and everything. And so that coalesced. And Gavin said, come up here. We'll get, locations. We'll get that. I'll hook it up. And he fucking hooked it up, man. So to your point about producing, those two produced their asses off for this movie. And, I'm a stranger. They're strangers to me. And we all kind of came together and for 4 days in October, cast locally, which pain in the ass. Actra is up there. I don't care. I'm going to say it, whatever. I think Mercedes and I had to do a little bit of rewriting, but I mean, Gavin was rock solid, put the crew together. All the local peeps up in Windsor, great folks to work with. The local towns, like we got the field for free that you saw there. Like we got the hookup. It was great. And my actors, coming from Canada, Toronto, and everything were fantastic. it rained on us, it snowed on us, it was sunny, it was cloudy. Shout out to our prosthetics, like Sebastian and Mitch, who did the prosthetics of our bad guy. They had to deal with the weather changing and everything. I had squibs. We had guns. The squibs didn't fucking work. Got more blood on me than I did. My sweaters, which is next to me, has more blood on it. Probably looked like I murdered somebody going to a donut shop around there. But yeah, it was 4 days and were tough days. Schedule kind of got tossed around pretty quickly. Rain, mud, but the look was so great and everything, turned out rather well, as you can see, and everything. And it was just fun to do that. I mean, making a movie is hard, and like I challenge people and they say, "Oh, it's easy." It takes a lot to come together and to get it done in an effective and meaningful way. And those guys really helped me doing that. And in post too, like Mercy's also scored it, and the original score is there are certain moments in that movie that I'm extremely proud of, that hold a very personal thing to me, and the score he wrote over those moments towards the end are just fucking fabulous to me, and I listen to that all the time. And they really came together at the end, and they were both very instrumental. So for the producer thing, yes, 100%. And it's been in its festival run for about a little over a year. It's nearing its end. It's not the lightest of movies, so I can see.
Boy, who you telling? The last film I put through the film festival is a action drama.
Yeah.
That would have no spoiler, but no spoiler. It has a tragic ending. So no matter the neo-Western feel to it, like it legit looks like a spinoff of, Hell or High Water.
Nice.
Right? So the vibes are there, but if you didn't want to like cry, I'm sorry. This may not be the movie for you. Yeah. So I feel you.
Yeah, no, it's one of those. I mean, and when we pull out the feature, which is what we're working on, because that's the proof of concept of the vibe of the feature we're going for. It's like that's this one section in it, and I tell people like, well, in the movie, like these are the parts that you'll see in it, but that is kind of the tone. But yeah, no, it was a good time. It was a huge learning
with them, right?
experience,
Like
too.
these new people that you met on Clubhouse, you still in contact with them? You didn't burn any bridges through this mess?
On a near daily basis. And like we've made more stuff. I've watched them make more stuff. Like I said, Gavin's doing a show. Mercy's got his feature. We share stuff, show cuts to each other and everything. So yeah, I mean, more people. Making the band bigger to make more stuff. I mean, I think I put on my Instagram, like, make cool shit with cool people. And that's kind of the name of the game. Like when I came out here, I was a little bummed because none of my friends from home came out here. And like, I wanted to make stuff with my friends. And like the key thing to learn here is like, well, then what you need to do then is you need to make more friends.
Yeah.
And so that was a big part of it. And, in the last while, the 20 years I've been out here, that's what I've been doing. And it all coalesces. I've had some friends who I've known for 20 plus years out here, and some who I've just recently met. So
yeah,
yeah,
I call them why not friends. Full disclosure, I stole that from Kevin Smith. Thank you, sir. Which is like it's totally, I have a handful of friends I've known since I was 13 years old. They're 30-year friends. I'm happy to keep them. They just can't be my film friends because they're just not in that vein. And I really, in this industry especially, I need those people who, when I'm like, oh, I have this idea and I have to do it now because momentum is everything. And if they're not in the why not track, they stop all momentum. Which means either the film stops or the friendship stops. So I would rather just keep people in their appropriate places. Like,
yeah.
Right?
I mean, they're fans and everything. It's really fun too, because like I have one friend, he's getting into it like through music, and it's just cool. Like he's going through some of the things, and and so that's super fun to watch. But then there's cool fans and super supportive, which is super important. And
Yeah.
eventually I want to just get all of my friends together and like at a party and like ultimately like make one big ass movie. That would be fun.
Dude, just write that Kevin Smith film, whatever it is, just write a part for everybody you know, or like with a
Yeah.
head of department or whatever, and just write the thing to have the party.
Yes, exactly.
I do want to, because that's such an epic story, and you're so right in so many ways. And I invite anybody who's listening, like, the point of the victory round, this kind of middle segment, is what is something that you have done in the last week that you're really proud of? Because some effort that you're making now, you are going to cash in on at some point, or it's the result of cashing in from previously. So what's something, Robert, that you've done this past week where you're just like, yeah, man?
Oh, it's a great question. I think, and I've been slammed this week, and I think it's the lab where we both met.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing a thing that was not in necessarily my wheelhouse, although like fun trivia fact, I am a USA Today best-selling author for writing a paranormal women's romance novella, under a pen name, of course. So I'm no stranger to it, although my education in that space is a funny story, which we may or may not have time for. And Mandy, who's in the chat, is very instrumental in that. She's a famous, amazing romance author who just slays. So anyway, she's in the comment section. I told her I might name drop her.
Mandy, reach out. We should have you on the podcast.
So I'm no stranger to it, and also I love rom-coms. Like even though I love movies in general. Like I started out just writing drama before I started leaning, into genre space. But when Harry Met Sally, all those things, especially in the '90s, I watched them. Like those are good. They're fun. Like we like them. And so this was a chance because like I got to try something. And part of that lab, the LA Directors Lab, shout out to Pam, LA Directors Lab. If you want a gym for directing, you should check it out. There's my plug. And so I got to do the rom-com scene, and I was like, cool, this is super fun. And it's also just radically different than what I'm typically used to doing. And so, taking swings. I'm a big proponent of taking swings. It's very terrifying when you do. Even Honors Half-Life was me taking a swing. I'd never done any of those things. Diving into genre like that. And so I did the same thing with the rom-com this last week, which I'm still editing. And
Me too.
and so I'm like, I'm gonna make that midnight deadline barely. And it was super fun working with those actors. And on a personal, like, fun level, like I'm like getting underneath the scene that we were working on and trying to shoot this a different way than I normally would any of my other stuff. And so doing that was challenging, and the edit is proving challenging because I'm loving everything. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like this is another tool in the toolbox. And again, things cross over. You mentioned this earlier about, you're not my genre, this or that, but like things can still be applicable. And that is certainly true in this. So, I mean, does it make me want to do a rom-com? It actually does, but it also makes me want to do some of the rom-com-y things in my genre stuff. And so, that was super fun. And I'm glad I did it. You have to be in the hot seat for a bit. It's always a challenge. So, yeah.
Dude, the biggest, and cheers, if I might, cheers to you diving into the deep end and doing rom-com labs as a thriller horror sci-fi person. Oh my God. I have to say, I think my victory is going to be similar to that, just because I kind of want to beep, beep, beep. The challenge for the LA Directors Lab for me wasn't just, hey, I haven't directed in a minute. I'm usually the container for my director. I'm not usually the director, which gives me the liberty to say what I want to say without any bars, because I have to say it, because if I don't say it, nobody else will. Right. I'm looking at the rough cut of the edit. I need to see X, Y, and Z shot. Do you have it in your list? Cool. We're going to do reshoots. Like, I have that power. I'm going to say it. When I'm the director, I actually recognize the power I don't have. And part of the power we don't have in the LA Directors Lab, and creativity is born from limitations, because we're not the ones casting. The question that normally comes from actors is, what do you want? Let me fulfill your vision. And I was like,
Right.
I need you to just pump the brakes on that mentality for a minute, because that vision starts in casting, which means I can't actually ask you to deliver on my vision first. I actually have to see what you bring to the table. And then I can say, this is my vision for us. So part of the challenge of the first round of rehearsals, because we have rehearsal one day and we have shoot the next day, was actually just to get to know them and hear their initial table read and be like, what is your interpretation of the motivation? What happened right before the scene, right? What's the scene where, maybe there was a chance to reveal your real feelings before, but it just wasn't the right timing, right? What was wrong with that moment, and why is it right now? And then is this about you? Is this about her? Is this about us? Right. And just sitting and unpacking some of that and hearing their version of it gave me the understanding of, oh, you don't see these characters as steamy or raunchy. You see them as sweet, right? Or soft or sassy, right? And so what it gave me the opportunity to do is, much like the intimacy coordinator, which was the big reason I signed up, because I was like, I need
No, for sure. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, I've not done that before. Let me do it. That is how I approach it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And look, if the MO of an intimacy coordinator is, we must learn a new language in order to meet our actors where they are, just from that kind of tangible choreography place, then I was using that same language as a director to be like, I'm trying to meet you where you are as an actor, so that I'm working to your strength and not asking something wild and off to the left field in 2 days from you. Because that's just no. Especially since my scene, they're supposed to be friends, which means there's a certain level of comfort and chemistry.
Yeah.
And both of those things had to be visible in front of the camera in less than 48 hours.
That's the grind, right? It's like I say, it's I call it a stress test. It's a wonderful one, because when you're directing, it's totally stressful. You have a million questions, about micro decisions that have to be made. Let's go. But you lose 5 seconds, you lose a minute. That all adds up, and so it's designed. I mean, I say it, and they probably, I don't know if everyone would agree with it, but I feel like it's designed so that you do fail, so that you learn. You have to get 5 shots. I think Pam's even said this at some point or another. You have to get 5 shots. You have time for 3. The sun's going down. What do? You shoot the hostage. That's what you do.
Yeah.
How do you put it together? I look at the edit now, and it's like, okay, I know what I would do differently if I had the time. And I think every director goes through that. It's like, okay, yeah, if I had the time, but you have to get past that, because you don't have the time. And you gotta deliver.
Yeah.
You're just focusing on delivering. And so it's really a good way to, I think, get in that mindset. So I'm with you on that.
And I think, to your point, I think that's in the writing process, which I'm much more familiar with. There's what Meg LaFauve and Lorian McKenna from the Screenwriting Life refer to as the fuck you, fuck me paradigm. Because right after you deliver the thing, you're going, and you get notes, right? And you get that feedback, and defensiveness is natural. You want to say fuck you. And at some point it starts to sink in, and you're like, son of a, and then you start thinking, fuck me. And you have to, right? You do. It's a
I think you need a gap too. I don't know. I've had some people say, look, you get the notes and then go away a little bit. Don't get into it, because perspective is a powerful thing, and usually it requires time and some distance from whatever it is. And so, yes, you are 100% right. Your first natural human instinct is to be defensive.
Yeah, because you had to be decisive the first time, and now it's you not that you're backpedaling out of the decision, but rather now you have to be receptive to a possibility outside of that decision. Defensive is going to happen. So I say that to say, I think my victory was, I allowed myself to go through that process so that I could fall in love with my footage again. And I owed it to everybody on that project to fall in love with that footage again, because it does not matter what I did not get. It only matters what I got and
Yes.
how it comes together, because no one knows what the puzzle should look like.
Yeah.
No one knows. And because no one knows, I have the ability to find the magic. And that has been the hardest and best part of editing.
It always is. It always is. Again, perspective is a powerful thing. Like, oh, it doesn't work. I went away several hours yesterday. I'm like, this cut doesn't work. I like this from cut one and this from this other shot. I
Mhm.
can't put them together.
Mhm.
And I woke up this morning, I'm like, oh, I can. I'm just going to do this.
Mhm.
And because I'm judging every minute thing happening from one cut to the next,
Mhm.
like, of course, things are going to stand out, and I'm going to just see what doesn't work. But again, we need to be. If you're the director, you have to represent the audience. They don't get the rewind and back and to the left. Like, they don't get that. It's going to come at them in the pace you deliver, and
Yep.
then how it lands is how it lands, and that's it. You know, you're rewinding that same clip 10,000 times, and it's like, ah, her hair does this, or like the
Yeah.
shoe is here. It's like no one gives a shit about
No
that.
one gives a shit.
No
Yeah.
one will care. They're
Yeah.
gonna be glued to their eyes. They're gonna
And
be
I
glued
gotta
to
say
this.
that it feel free to veto me if you feel like you don't agree, but this is my PSA to filmmakers out there, whether you're up and coming or you're struggling or you feel good where you are and you're just like, I don't need any advice. But let me tell you, the advice I would give to any fellow filmmaker is shot, reverse shot. That it is less about what you shoot and more about the reaction of what you shoot, because if you do not have the reaction shot, you may not have your audience, right? And so part of what I've been incorporating along my edit is ensuring, like, do I know what my characters are thinking and feeling? Have I seen it? Have I had enough time on their face to feel it? Because that is the scene. Like,
Well,
those reaction shots are the
that's
thing.
movie making. Like in school that I paid so much fucking money to, that you could get for free at YouTube University now. Action reaction. That is movie making. That
Yep.
really is cinema. It's in every genre too, and it's
Yep.
especially true in this genre. And it's a funny thing is, like, one of the things that I came across in my edit is exactly what you're talking about. And like, I don't think it's it's advice. It's just it's how movies work. So when we're watching a scary movie, it's not the thing that usually gets you as well. It's the person when they cut to their terror, like Scream Queens. You're looking at them. You're cutting to the reaction of that. You know, when a bad tragic thing's happening and they cut to the guy crying or the girl crying, that is what moves you. It
Yeah.
is all the space in between. And I think if you're doing it effectively, it's not really the words, it's how they're reacting to the words,
Yep.
or they're and I that is what I'm trying to pull apart in my edit. Because like it's and I'm learning too, and I knew this, but like it's really right in your face now when you're like, because the computer screen's right there. I'm looking at the scene on both my monitors. I'm going, motherfucker, I didn't get enough reaction here when I want it, because I want to craft it a certain way. And so it's like what you just said before. Like, I can't go back and reshoot, but like, and this is the fault of me. I'm not even talking about the production of it. It's like, I know what I'm doing is just as you do. And like, and in that environment, like, okay, I can, I need that reaction here. And sometimes it works, and sometimes you want a better one. We want more time, or maybe another angle, or I want to get her looking at him this way, or him looking at her this way at this particular moment. And
Mhm.
so that's been a fun challenge. It's like, okay, I want this here. And it's not, it's in between the lines. It's not in the script. It's in how
Yep.
you're telling the story visually,
Yeah.
and using, just the action reaction. It's just movie making. It's like
Yeah.
that's all it is. But
And
yeah,
I tell you, the gift of the LA Directors Lab is also, if by chance, like me, you don't often have a lot of time to rehearse your actors and your actual product projects. The gift of the LA Directors Lab is half of your time, right? You have 2 days, and one of those days is completely dedicated to your rehearsal time. in the space with your DP, with your actors. It's completely dedicated to that. Now, I had the advantage of being the last person to shoot on the shoot day. So I actually
Yes, you
had
did.
2 more rehearsals on the day, and it was everything. And I specifically wanted to talk to you about it because I kind of wanted to know I know we're going off rails, but I kind of look, this is the difference between interviewing a producer who's like, I have got 45 minutes and we blast through these interviews, as opposed to a fellow filmmaker where it's like, we're just going to have some tea and just talk for 4 hours.
Yeah,
Although it's
you're
probably
helping me. You're helping me procrastinate, so it's
exactly.
good.
I was like, we're also
Like,
procrastinating because we just admitted that we're in the middle of an edit. So hello.
yeah.
Thanks, Pam. But so the just to give you the details of those 2 rehearsals. One, I had gotten the note that because they're both of my actors were very shy. And I didn't understand the mechanics of their shyness. So the first rehearsal we had that day was basically a getting to know you period, which, not to toot my own horn, but I'm very experienced with leading those kinds of things. So first I had to evaluate it and then I could implement it. And what I noticed as I was doing getting to know you questions is that as I would ask one actor a question, they would only look at me when they answered. And I was like, so for our next step, I need the other to ask a follow-up question, which allowed their gaze to meet each other. From there, the other thing that broke that kind of ice was proximity, because we needed them to be comfortable in each other's proximity before they got on set, because so far that had not been something that was comfortable for them, just proximity. And so one actor at a time, I started asking them about every child has their version of patty cake. Like, you learned a version of it when you were young. What's your version?
Yeah.
And I was like, and what's great about this is the talent was already telling me that one way that they get out of their head is by doing something physical. So I was like, hey, now that you guys have taught each other your version of patty cake, which I can do with you too, anytime you have a break, your goal is to beat your previous score. Like, I think we got up to 7 and haven't beat 7 as our score, but now we have something we can do that gets us comfortable in proximity. It gets us out of our head, and we can literally focus on it until we, to exhaustion. Okay, so that was
that's interesting. I'm gonna use that if I'm in that situation. Like, those human things. Like, people, I have friends who are who have they have this fear of directing because, like, I don't know lenses, I don't know this and that. I'm like, yeah, but you can learn those. You can learn what a 25 does, and I say, like, yeah, that's great. That is in a book somewhere. You can look at it, you can write it down. What you're describing is the human to human part, and that is so fundamental to what we're doing, and it's really hard. And most directors, and I myself included, which is why I keep doing the lab, is because you got to get in front of people, you got to communicate your ideas, you got to see where they are, which is a good thing you pointed out, and how you work. And it's the one thing I've learned is that no 2 actors usually have the same energy. One is here, one is there. So how do you manage that? And I've heard other high-level directors talk about this too. Like, this A-lister is like this A-lister is like this. I've seen stories about, like, I went to see Event Horizon at the Hellraisers Club thing here in Culver City. So it's like a horror screening once every so often, and the writer was there, and so we got to do the Q&A. And it's funny, writers were throughout the same. It doesn't matter what movie you're doing. He was talking about things that were written a certain way and how they shot, and they were talking about some of the actors, and like, this person, like, this scene was a certain way, and he saw the flaws in the scene. I'm like, I love this movie, so, like, I forgive it all because we get audience perspective. But when you're in it so much, you just see, this is a fuck up. This didn't come out the way I wanted. The delivery, blah 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 blah. And they were talking about how this actor required 7 takes. This actor required 3 takes. You want to shoot him first, maybe her second, or vice versa. And I'm like, that's something you learn. That's something you also learn while you're working too. And so you might not know that, and then you have to adapt to that. And, like, how do I work with this person? And if their energies are a little different, like, okay, like, to me, that is one of those things that really you gotta figure out, and that learning curve can be tricky. And I didn't have that issue, I think, on mine, because, like, they seemed so jovial with each other, and I also tend to ramble when I'm like, hey, here's what we're doing, here's how I do it, like, and try and make them comfortable and talking the IC. I think I was like, tell me what you do. How do you do this? You
Yeah.
know, you're like a stunt coordinator, so we could do this and that.
And I
yeah,
really let her jump in
yeah,
and do her thing because it gave me a chance to also observe what she was doing. So the tertiary exercise I did was I had them in their patty cake position, so that I knew that they would be in a certain distance from each other in order to do that. You had to anchor one foot kind of like on your marker, and if you felt like moving back, you could take a step back, but you had to stay on your marker. And if you felt like getting closer, you could regain your proximity. And now that we've done the body scan, right, which we learned, you could
yeah,
also, once you're in proximity, you have the ability to touch in the appropriate places as part of your gestures, as part of your interaction. So we tried it. There was no touch. There was only proximity. And Julia, the intimacy coordinator, was the one who was like, okay, so what I noticed was you're having a hard time with eye contact. So your challenge for the next round is, one, maintain eye contact for as long as you can. And the caveat to that, and it was like an expansion on what I had said, was if you want to look away, take a step back instead. And that way you're still maintaining that eye contact. You can feel
right.
comfortable with that eye contact, but you're giving yourself the space that you're looking for when you look away. And what it brought up was fucking brilliant, because so much of the dialogue was one person moving forward, one person moving back. It was
Right.
literally like dog chasing a cat. Like, she
Yeah.
was so skittish. And what was interesting was the very few times he backed away, and the only time that they finally made it to patty cake distance. And I was like, that is a well-earned ending.
Nice.
But it wasn't the first kiss, it was the last one. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is great, because part of
Yeah.
what we've now unpacked is that because there are two kisses, the first kiss is more of an invitation than it is a resolution. And so part of the goal now that we've unpacked through this exercise, from your natural inclination of, do I get closer, do I get further, is how do I stand my ground and continue to invite the other so that they know that they're both safe and free to respond however they want to respond. And what came of that was that, like, the main female lead was like high energy, flirtatious, really kind of like wild energy at the top, but the closer you get to her, she's really soft and sensitive. And so by kind of being stable in that, like, really close proximity, she kind of found her voice again and was flirty again. And I was like, oh, this is great. Because that's the hope, right? Is that you are
Right.
comfortable and you're vibrant and happy with that proximity, right? Because
So,
if you
so
look
when
shut
you started,
down,
when you saw that on the monitor, did you like
Mhm.
lean forward and have the expression? Did you go, oh, there it is?
I saw it in rehearsal.
You saw it in rehearsal too.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
because I went first, so I
Yeah.
didn't have the luxury of any of the time. I've gone last before, and I've gone for the last. I did when we had stunts, and that was a whole other thing, which is super cool. And that's the advantage of going last. But going first is like you have morning energy. It's still very
Mhm.
cool. It's hot, and like you can really capitalize and kind of like just get there and do your thing. But it also means you have to front load the work. And so I spent a lot of the previous day just chatting with them, really just talking like, oh, this, and just telling stories about, I think I shared like an embarrassing story of my first kiss, or my first rejection, because mine was more about
Mm.
people who, like, we put a thing on it, like, and I think this is what I like to do. I'm like, well, what are we really doing here? What is the scene really about? There's the words, there's what's in between, like, where's the fun? Like, and I asked them, and they came up with a cool idea, which I won't spoil here. But it was like, okay, so you two know each other, and you've worked together, and we developed a cool little shorthand. It was like, you want to, but you shouldn't. So then on the day, because we didn't have time to rehearse on the day, I was like, you didn't want to, you shouldn't. And then it was like, what are
Mhm.
you really saying here? And one of my actors wrote it down, like, maybe you're saying this here. I know the words are this, but this is what you mean.
Yeah.
and that started to develop in a nice organic way. And then when I saw it on the day, like in the morning, I'm like, I leaned and I was like, oh shit, this is, it's one of those fun things. Like when you're on set and you capture it feels right, like you had in your head.
Yep.
I think it's super, super fun. And, on any movie you make, I think when those moments come, you gravitate to them, and they're to be celebrated. And Honors Half-Life, we were doing so much, like bringing it back to that, like in the elements. There were a couple times where it was like, oh yes, like when she walks in the house, like some of those, and down in the creepy stairs in the basement, and we see the crispy burnt bodies. That was exactly how I thought it would be, and so those are super fun, super fun moments.
Now, just confirming, Honors Half-Life is the one that's going to be distributed via Dust here later in the year.
Yes, that's the Dust one. So I got the trailer and the little blurb they have of me, and so yeah.
And because we're about to move into our last segment, which includes our shout out to our sponsors, I just want to highlight this for you, Robert, because I know, especially when you're like knee deep in the work, and I can already hear from your process, like, your craft, you really do. And I think what happens when you're so like neck deep in craft, you don't actually realize how you show up in the industry and inspire other people. So I know you don't see the leader in you, but allow me to tell you this one thing. Another filmmaker that I'm going to have on this program a little later, she actually now directs original Tubi features. And 5 years ago, she directed a short as part of COVID as well. That short ended up distributing on Dust. It got the attention of some producers who were like, hey, if I give you this budget, could you make the feature? And she was like, hell yeah. Made the feature within a year after that. And she is now, and because of that feature and subsequent shorter projects, she is now, a regular director with Tubi. And so I say that all to say, Dust looks small on the outside because it's a YouTube distributor. Although, full disclosure to people who are visiting right now, like, do not dismiss YouTube distributors. They're actually major distributors now. So if you get distribution through a channel on YouTube, like, celebrate that MFer because it's big and Dust is big. So this is a huge win. And I'm so excited for what it will lead to for you, because I'm sure it will lead to big, big things, and well-deserved, because you held on to this project for so long for it to have this moment, this day. So cheers, sir, to you and your success, because this is only the beginning.
I appreciate that. And again, I couldn't have done it without the team that was very supportive, the crew and the actors and my producers. So, yeah. I look forward to making the feature version of that. So,
yes. All right. I do want to just take a quick pause before we dive into our last little segment, which we can make sure, because we've kind of talked about it throughout, to give credence to our sponsors. We actually have two today. Our first one is our newest sponsor, Off Duty, which, for the record, networking sucks. Let me just say, networking sucks. And if you're looking for a more organic way to make new connections in the film and television industry, really, there is a way you can invite that conversation while still respecting boundaries. So Off Duty Thanks is an apparel collection that offers the most comfortable t-shirts, hoodies, crop tops, and hats you can wear while enjoying non-negotiable time off. Especially for those of us in the industry, it can feel really quite impossible to carve time out. Now, if you're going out with friends or family, and you're still getting asked for pictures, this is the best time to wear the original Off Duty Thanks apparel, as you can see on the screen. This is like a permission slip for expressing gratitude while still respecting your boundary. But what if you're off duty and you still want to make new connections? You can wear the artist-specific collections to start the conversation. Just grab that contact info and then get back to your loved ones or your precious alone time. Now, right now, they have off-duty actor, artist, designer, director, producer, and writer. But if you saw one that you wanted, but you don't see it on the list, let them know, because it's possible they've got another round of the collections coming out. Now, I do want to mention that part of the collection also offers 5% of every purchase is donated directly to the Hollywood Community Fund, which is huge because that way, not only when you buy part of the apparel, it can help you, it can also give back to the community. And as a special thank you for tuning into Biscuits with Bosses, use code BWBTY10 at checkout for 10% off your complete order. And of course, my camera went out. You can also just click the link in the description below. It will lead you to the 10% off offer. And just in case you don't know how to engage with people while in your off-duty attire, every order comes with a small guide and suggested scripts so that you can connect quickly but respectfully.
Do they have off-duty demolitions? Because I would totally get that.
You know what? Send in the offer. I bet they would.
Okay.
Gladly make it happen. You know, of all the ones that I was kind of expecting to see there, I was like, "Where's stunts, boo? I need to see off-duty stunts."
Yeah, that's like a no-brainer. You off-duty stunts, maybe, I don't know.
We'll make it happen. I know some people. I'll pull some strings.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, final shout out to our original sponsor, Production Value. And this is huge if you're an independent producer like myself, or even a content creator. Clearly, you know how difficult it is to stay organized. So Production Value is the only program that keeps all your project's material together from development to delivery. Now, this includes a checklist at every stage to make sure you don't miss anything. Now, for more information, you can check out the link in the chat and certainly in the video description as well. And because you're here, you do receive 10% off with our special code BWBosses. And remember that all of these things are kind of indie made from the filmmaking industry. So, you know, this is also your opportunity to help out with small businesses by fellow filmmakers. Okay, I just want to switch up for a moment because, Robert, we only have you for a little bit longer. Part of the reason that we love doing Biscuits with Bosses is because we're all making efforts to keep ourselves sustained, but also keep the industry sustained, right? So, for example, we have all had mentors, and without mentors, we could not have survived long enough in this industry to move forward and become mentors ourselves. So I love to kind of unpack, what are we doing? What efforts are we making to elevate the filmmaking process right now? And I feel like I've heard parts from yours, which is like, you know, get involved in Clubhouse, or like take that risk and, you know, possibly be killed in Canada. And it could be something small, like on set. We had one producer who mentioned, you know, usually you say thank you to your crew at the end of the day. And she's like, we just made it part of our safety meetings. And so you could start your day with gratitude instead of ending it with gratitude. And I was like, oh, that's a cool idea.
Yeah.
So it could be something small like that. It could also be something that's a larger undertaking. But yeah, anything that occurs to you that you feel like you're making an effort towards.
I love that gratitude at the beginning. I've seen people do that, and I think that little huddle up you do at the beginning of your production, you know, set the tone. You know, even throughout the day. I mean, I did it at the lab. I think our obviously Trey, my DP, and even the first AC, the gaffer, the grip. I mean, I came up through lighting and grip, so I know how hard that work is. And so, yeah, I mean, just trying to meet people where they are, I think, and you know, exchange of help, because like there's a bit of bartering here. They're like, hey, I'll help you on this, you help me on this. It's kind of an unwritten thing, but like, hey, you know, I'll read a thing. I have a friend who's doing VFX for me. I'm like, I want to help you make your movie. Like I say this all the time, like, you know, being available and being ready to contribute to a thing or answer questions. Like, I think the mentor thing always throws me off because for me it means I'm old, and so it's and I've started to realize that in the last year because I've had people come up to me and start asking me questions. I'm like, I don't feel like I'm in a position. What do I know? I'm just another guy trying to, you know, push a boulder up a mountain like Sisyphus, you know. And I was at a UCLA party because my composer is a UCLA student, and they were asking me questions, and I was like, oh shit, okay, oh man, I have gray hair in my beard, don't I? And they don't. just being open about things. And really speak to just my experience and try and be welcoming, because when I came up, there was no Me Too. There was the check on power dynamics was not a thing. Like my first job, the guy was a total prick, and he belittled me and embarrassed me publicly in front of everyone in the set. And I think the reason I stayed was purely out of spite. I was like, fuck this guy. I'm gonna stay and prove him wrong. And he was just a total asshole. And my first movie ever, I knew nothing about the business. I kept fucking up the slate. Oh, whack. And like literally got out in front of the camera and we were doing a big wedding scene. So in front of all the extras just made me feel stupid. And so my thing for like making the community better, back to your original question, is to be inviting and open to be an educational set. Like I have no issue doing that, because I do think a lot of people when they first get in, they have bad experiences. And I've heard people tell me this and recount them. And like, oh yeah, like they're people who are terrible to work for, and that's probably true in most industries. But like here, there's such a weird power dynamic, which I was naive in thinking that didn't exist until someone pointed that out to me. And talking with my IC too was also eye opening to that. Like, you're in the director's chair. There is an authority that's presumed upon you, whether you like it or not.
Yep.
And I always like, okay, cool, like everyone's in it, but that's not always the case because of that power imbalance. So no hazing, and like ask a question. It's okay if you don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know what I'm fucking doing. Like
Yep.
I'm making it up. We're all making it up. The idea is to be safe, be courteous, and do your job, and that's really what you can ask for. But I don't, I'm not trying to be a jerk to anyone and belittle them as part of like making myself feel superior or anything. And I think there was a little bit of that. And yeah, it was friendly hazing, people think, but I do think when you're trying to get into this business, which is already hard enough as it is,
Mm-hmm.
what you can do is be supportive. And I think that starts at the bottom. I know, there's a whole other conversation about people trying to do stuff at the top, but really it starts down here when you're getting in, like encouragement to be like, it's okay. Like, that's a C stand, or like that's a sandbag. This is a C-47. Why do they call it that? It's a bullshit term to make things be more expensive, because that's how film stuff works. But I think being open and welcoming to people is a big thing, and I don't want people to experience my experience when I first started. So, don't be a jerk. Try to be better than you were the day before. I mean, that's my goal. It's not a competition between me and my contemporaries or peers. It's just me trying to be better than I was yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, sound advice, truly. And honestly, I feel like that's just a mic drop moment. I feel like we can't end on anything better than that. Thank you so much, Robert. I really appreciate you being here today. For those of you in the audience, if you would like to follow him, you can find him on Instagram at Robert Flowers TV. And of course, be sure to like and subscribe to his YouTube channel, Addicted Undead Studios, also Robert Flowers TV. If I may, since we have all those mentions about Pam, like a little genie out of a bottle, it just so happens that next week's guest is going to be Pam Carbonero. She is film director. Yay, Pam! The cult expands. Wait, no.
Shh.
She is film director, first AD extraordinaire, and founder of the LA Directors Lab, now celebrating its second successful year. Be sure to tune in live next Friday at 12:30 p.m. PST. That's 3:30 p.m. EST. And of course, we'll leave the link for you to follow along with Pam on Instagram as well. And since you all have stayed to the very, very end, I always like to leave y'all with the nugget of like, hey, I am always doing like a million things. So just so you have the special announcement of what I'm doing. Tomorrow, I'm going to be doing my StoryMath workshop. It starts bright and early at 10 a.m. This is the place to break story. So regardless if you're working on a novel, a comic book, a feature, a series, does not matter. You break story the same way. So please come on out, and it is free. The big reason I would say drop everything, sign up, even if you can make for an hour, is because you have the ability to purchase add-on worksheets. These are the worksheets as the basis of my book that is coming out shortly. And I want to make sure that if you are trying to break story, you have a guide now. If you wait for the pre-sale of the book, you may not have the guide that you're looking for. So jump on the train. We'll get you started. And it is via Zoom, so you can really join from anywhere around the world. Now, that being said, there is a way to join me in person. It just so happens in November, I'm going to be part of the Story Within Her writing retreat. We're going to be heading over to Lake Arrowhead with Once Upon a Script. So if you want to work with me live and in person, that is the best way to join me. Thanks so much, Matt, for getting all that stuff. I know we just kind of like geeked out and you were listening through most of this, but y'all just shout out to Matt because he is such a trooper. He makes sure that we have everything in the chat. He like does all the prompts on the screen. So thank you, my co-host. You did awesome today.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, of course. Love being here.
All right, y'all. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to join us today. Be sure to like and subscribe. Owl Echo Entertainment, your host for Biscuits with Bosses, and we will see you next Friday. Bye now. Oh, you're still scrolling through. I was like, what is this thing? This is not the Biscuits with Bosses. Oh, it's fine. I was like, where are my faces?
now we get to say goodbye. We get to go back editing. I'm at the very end of my scene. Oh my goodness, so much work.
I did the other way around. I started with the ending and then I feel like I'm in the weeds. So I then went to the beginning and now I'm like finessing the middle part, which is actually the hardest because it's the turning point. So I think you did right. But
no, the middle was holding me up too. I spent all day yesterday just trying to cut the middle and I'm like, I give up. So I got to get a clock stick and we have 10 hours.
Yeah, man.
10 hours to get it done.
If you need to jump on a Zoom and just like have eyes on, let me know. Just know that the stutter is real. So the playback is going to be weird.
Okay. I might have to take you up on that. So
I'll be here. All right, guys.
All right.